Most people visit Rome and see the surface. The Colosseum, the Forum, the Pantheon. What they don't see is what's underneath all of it. Painted rooms sealed since the 4th century. A gladiator school buried below a modern street. A pope's escape route still scarred by the morning that nearly ended the papacy. 10 more hidden places, counting from 10 to 1. Ready? Let's roam. Number 10. Catacombs of Priscilla. Beneath a Benedictine convent on the Via Salaria, 13 kilometers of tunnels hold 40,000 burials and one of the oldest known images of the Virgin Mary in Christian art. The catacombs earned the title Queen of the Catacombs in antiquity because of who is buried within. 7 early pontiffs, over 360 anonymous martyrs, and the noblewoman Priscilla, who almost certainly donated the land in the 2nd century. The fresco dates to around 230 AD. It shows a mother, a child, and a figure pointing at a star. Scholars argued over its meaning for decades before concluding it is almost certainly among the earliest images of Mary ever made. Number 9. Ludus Magnus. 2 minutes from the Colosseum on foot, an oval practice ring sits half-buried below the modern street, the largest of 4 gladiatorial schools that once operated in Rome. Ludus Magnus housed around 2,000 fighters organized by class, Thracians with curved swords, Retiari with nets and tridents, Myrmilones with fish-crested helmets. Many were not slaves forced into the arena, but salaried professionals on multi-year contracts who followed supervised diets and received care from dedicated physicians. A tunnel connected the school directly to the Colosseum underground, so fighters reached the arena floor without once stepping into daylight before the gates opened above them. Gladiators were expensive assets. Wasting one carelessly was bad accounting. Number 8. Catacombs of San Sebastiano. Before catacomb described any burial site on Earth, it was simply the name locals used for a depression on the Appian Way, a Latin phrase meaning near the quarry. The site began as a pagan necropolis, its chambers decorated with Medusa frescoes by Roman families who expected to rest undisturbed. Within a generation, Christians had tunneled past their tombs. In 257 AD, Emperor Valerian ordered the arrest of all Christian clergy and the seizure of church property. The relics of both Peter and Paul were quietly brought here for safekeeping, temporarily sheltered beneath a site that looked, on the surface, like anyone else's burial ground, before being returned to their own basilicas. The hollow that sheltered them gave the world its word. Number 7. Baths of Caracalla underground. Caracalla completed the baths in 216 AD, 1 year before his own soldiers killed him on the road to Carrhae. The motivation was political. His father Septimius Severus had advised him on his deathbed to pay the army and disregard everyone else, and a complex seating 1,600 Romans for free was the civilian equivalent of a military bonus. Beneath the marble floors, a city of service tunnels ran nearly a kilometer, worked around the clock by slaves who stoked furnaces, moved water through lead pipes, and kept the hypocaust heating alive without surfacing into the halls above. One section held the only Mithraic temple found beneath a Roman bath complex in the city, its altar still partially intact, almost certainly used by the same workforce who passed it every shift. Number 6. Passetto di Borgo. On May 6, 1527, the unpaid army of Holy Roman Emperor Charles V, mostly German mercenary foot soldiers, broke through Rome's walls and began one of the most destructive sacks of a European city in the early modern period. Pope Clement VII had 45 minutes of warning. He fled through the Passetto di Borgo, an 800-meter corridor built into the Vatican walls, while 147 of his Swiss guards died holding the steps of St. Peter's Basilica. Clement watched Rome burn from the battlements of Castel Sant'Angelo for 7 months before paying a ransom of 400,000 ducats and escaping the city in disguise. The arquebus scars from that morning are still in the stone. Number 5. Ostia Antica Mithraeum, a carved stone statue of a god killing a bull, stands exactly where worshippers left it in 391 AD, in a sealed chamber beneath the ruins of Rome's first port city, undisturbed for over 1,600 years. Ostia Antica died when the Tiber silted up, and the harbour became unreachable, and by the Middle Ages the city lay under meters of sediment, which is precisely what preserved the Mithraeum of the Baths intact. When Emperor Theodosius banned all pagan worship, the temple was sealed and the statue left standing in position. Ostia held 18 known Mithraea, more than any other ancient city in the world. Sailors, dock workers, and grain merchants had been meeting in these rooms for 3 centuries before a single imperial edict ended it overnight, and the doors were sealed from the outside. Number 4. Palatine Hill Cryptoporticus. The Praetorian Guard had never killed a sitting emperor before January 24, 41 AD. After that day, they did it with some regularity. Caligula was stabbed 30 times somewhere in a 130-meter vaulted corridor beneath the Palatine palaces, a passage called the Cryptoporticus connecting the Domus Tiberiana to the House of Livia, originally lined with painted stucco reliefs, almost none of which survive. The guard had planned the assassination carefully, but had no agreed plan for afterward. They found Claudius hiding behind a curtain in the palace and declared him emperor on the spot. Claudius ruled for 13 years. Most visitors cross the Cryptoporticus today as part of a standard Palatine ticket and move through it in under 2 minutes. Number 3. Catacomb of Via Latina. In 1955, construction workers near the Ostia Antica broke through into a 4th century tomb complex sealed for over 1,500 years. The Catacomb of Via Latina requires special permission from the Pontifical Commission to enter, and the reason for the restriction is the reason for the visit. In a single chamber, Hercules completes his 12 labors on one wall, and Christ raises Lazarus on another. Pagan mythology and Christian scripture share the same plaster without apparent conflict. Whether the family who commissioned both were pagans, converts, or something no clear category covers is a question scholars have been arguing for 70 years without agreement. The walls were painted by someone who saw no contradiction. The tomb has not explained who. Number 2. Hypogeum of the Scipios. In 1780, the Sassi brothers, expanding their wine cellar above the Appian Way, broke through into a mausoleum sealed for nearly 2,000 years. The Hypogeum of the Scipios was begun around 298 BC by Lucius Cornelius Scipio Barbatus and used for 2 centuries by the family that stopped Hannibal at Zama, turned Carthage to dust, and produced more consuls than any generation of Romans had a right to expect from a single bloodline. The inscriptions on the sarcophagi are among the oldest surviving examples of written Latin in existence. The family's most celebrated member, Scipio Africanus, is not buried here. He exiled himself from Rome in his final years, contemptuous of the city's politics, and refused to return even in death. Number 1. Hadrian's Villa Slave Tunnels, Tivoli. For the first time in this series, Entry 1 takes you beyond the city walls. 28 kilometers from Rome, beneath the largest imperial palace ever built, amateur archaeologists discovered in 2013 that the most studied imperial villa in the ancient world had been hiding half of itself for 19 centuries. Hadrian became emperor in 117 AD under disputed circumstances, with 4 senior senators executed in his first weeks in power. He spent 12 of his 21 years as emperor outside Rome entirely, and when he was in Italy he preferred Tivoli to the Palatine, where the guard had already killed 1 emperor and would kill several more. His villa covers 120 hectares, larger than Pompeii. Beneath all of it runs a 4-kilometer network of service tunnels wide enough for horse-drawn carts, recorded in no ancient document, found by volunteers clearing the dark with buckets 1 passage at a time. The emperor above was never meant to know they were there. 10 places, 2,000 years, and Rome is still not done surprising. Hit like and subscribe so you never miss the next descent. Tell me in the comments which site you would visit first, and if Tivoli is already on your list, drop it below. Until next time, keep roaming.